And welcome back to the Sooner Surge. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to click the subscribe button. You see it right there on your screen. Turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest content. And also, if you're interested in becoming a Sooner Surge Unlimited member, be sure to do it. You'll get access to the Discord where we will be talking about all things OU athletics. You see it at the bottom. Check out the fan stop. Use code SURGE for 10% off your first 3 months. That's thefanstop.com and join the Shirt of the Month Club. This weekend, Oklahoma hosted Iowa State in softball, and the story of the weekend was Cydney Sanders. You see the stats on your screen: 800 batting average, 4 home runs, 4 hits, 9 RBIs, and 5 walks. Cydney Sanders had a weekend. She is now the home run leader for the Sooners. Jay, what are your thoughts on Cydney Sanders this weekend?
I mean, Cydney Sanders, when we did the pregame, I think it was, what day was that, on Thursday, when we said who we think the star of the weekend would be, she was not one we both mentioned, and she was definitely the star of the weekend, had big time. I mean, the first matchup, if without her 3-run homer, that's a 1-0 game going into the 6th or 7th inning. So huge at-bats from Cydney Sanders. Like you said, ridiculous 4 home runs in a series with 5 at-bats. And here's what Cydney Sanders playing this well does. It takes pressure off of other players that maybe pressing a little bit, right? You know, I don't think there's a whole lot of pressing going on, but when they weren't scoring runs there for a little bit, you know, this kind of, I was, and you can look at the runs this weekend. It kind of opened up the floodgates a little bit. I think that's because Sanders is swinging the bat so well. Right now, you look at Cydney Sanders in the Big 12, I mean, playing at first base. I mean, I know Texas first baseman's really good. Atwood, I believe. She's really good, but Cydney Sanders right now, she's got to win Big 12 Player of the Week, maybe National Player of the Week, right? I mean, after this performance.
Yeah, and look, I apologize. I was one 2 weeks ago that said Riley Ludlam may end up taking Cydney Sanders' job. Not going to happen. But look, I would say that last year, people expected a lot of power from Cydney Sanders. And maybe there was slight disappointment. She still had some massive hits last year, but to say this is what we expected is also probably exaggerated as well. But somewhere in between the two, I think, is where most Sooner fans thought Cydney Sanders would be. And to hit 800 over a weekend, and the 5 walks stands out because obviously they didn't want to give her anything to hit. They knew how hot she was. The ball probably looked like a beach ball coming across the plate for her, and she was just destroying it. Like you said, 9 RBIs. Look, if they get anywhere even close to this kind of production from Cydney Sanders, watch out, opponents, because this lineup is so scary good. It's ridiculous.
Hey, the thing is, too, you mentioned, you know, her eye and everything. I think that's probably been the biggest, maybe I wouldn't say struggle, but as far as OU not hitting the ball well this year, they've been swinging at bad pitches a lot, and that's been part of the problem. And she waited on her pitches. Hey, if she want to walk, that's fine, walk her. But she was just destroying the ball this weekend, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon for her because of this. Watch her at bats. Everything was going the opposite field or center. That's usually a good sign, meaning you're really going with the pitches. And the power she has the opposite field, I think it's the best on the team. I really do. I think her power to all fields is best on the team.
Yeah, I'll throw out some more interesting stats for Cydney Sanders this weekend. She reached base 9 times this weekend. All season, in the 3-game span, all season, she only has 8 strikeouts on the year. That's just insane. Last year, first year at Oklahoma, she only had 9 home runs on the year. This year, we're 23 games into the season, and she's already at 8. So there's a very good chance you see the Cydney Sanders that Oklahoma expected when she transferred after a freshman year at Arizona State, when she had 21 home runs, a 425 batting average. This year, she's at 385. I mean, this weekend alone, the 800 batting average in the 3-game span. I mean, if that continues into this following week, you got 5 games, those numbers are going to go up to probably even over 400 for Cydney Sanders.
Yeah, and we talked about previewing the season. We talked about 20 home run club. Cydney Sanders is well on her way to 20 home runs. Which, hey, and the thing is, no one's ever questioned kind of her fielding ability. Everyone knew that was there. I would say that I've noticed she seems to be stronger this year than last year. Me personally, I think she's stronger than she was last year. And to hit 4 home runs, and those are the only 4 hits, they're all long balls. And the thing is, like you brought up, Hunter, it's not like she's not a strikeout or long ball hitter. That's not what it is either. She's a long ball hitter. She's getting on base by walks because they don't want to pitch to her. But again, unbelievable weekend for Cydney Sanders, guys. And I hope that this is just a trend that's moving upward for her.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
one thing with Cydney Sanders was the struggles earlier in the season with how, and then also combined with how well Riley Ludlam was doing to where it was. I mean, how are you making that decision at first base? I think that's really what has made Cydney Sanders so much better. And what we're seeing this past weekend is that competition aspect, knowing that, I mean, you have a bad game, it's super hard to keep Riley Ludlam, a senior, out of this lineup. Every opportunity she's got, she has done very well. And now Cydney Sanders this weekend, Jerm mentioned it, should be National Player of the Week. If she's not, there's some serious problems going on with whoever is voting on those awards.
Hey, this is a good question I'd like to ask, and even our viewers, put your answer in the comments. We've talked about batting lineup and how it's been switching around. Where ideally do you think Cydney Sanders should be batting? Where would you like to see her more often than not?
5, 6 hole is kind of where after this weekend, maybe I'd say anywhere 5 to 7 would be a good spot for Cydney Sanders.
No cleanup?
That's what I was going to go. I was going to go 4.
I feel like
that's. I mean, I feel like you can't even go wrong with who you're putting. Like the fact that we're talking about Cydney Sanders, who had 4 hits, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 5 walks this weekend, as a 5 through 7 hole hitter. That's, I mean, it's Oklahoma softball. They've won 3 national championships. Going to be the number 1 team in the country again this week. So it's just insane that they have that much talent from 1 through 9 in this lineup.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what? She's probably one of the quietest people on the team. I mean, when you look as far as her play speaks for itself, but I mean, just vocal. I mean, she gets excited, but a lot of the other ones on there, you got a lot more, I would say, vocal leadership from her. But I see so much confidence right now in Cydney Sanders. I mean, she looks like she's having a freaking blast. Who wouldn't be hitting that many bombs in one weekend, right?
Yeah, and also, hey, I would say 2 players transferred in that we got to talk about, Alina Torres and Cydney Sanders. Both are names that when you talk about the lineup, it's natural to leave those 2 names out. Well, now Cydney Sanders has said, well, you're not going to leave my name out anymore. And guys, I think Alina Torres is going to have a weekend similar pretty soon where you're going to say, you can't leave that name out anymore either. Because all the other ones are staples that you talk about. For whatever reason, Cydney Sanders and Alina Torres has kind of been forgotten, but she made sure we don't forget that name this weekend.
Yeah, one of the many transfers that Oklahoma has gotten from Arizona State, who, oh, by the way, beat Washington today. Big-time win for them. Only Washington's 2nd loss of the year, if you're not keeping track. Their other loss was to Oklahoma and Puerto Vallarta, first weekend of the season.
Yeah, OU will be number 1 unanimously again this weekend after Texas loses coming up this week. So you have that. You have Cydney Sanders just dominating performance over this weekend. Let's hope she continue it this week. I think she will. I think she's red hot. I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So appreciate everybody joining this video. Hey, listen, if you're not subscribed, Hunter said it earlier, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out the Fan Stop. Awesome OU shirts, guys. I mean, the one for April's fire. It looks so good. Very creative shirt. Sign up for it. Use code Surge. You'll get 10% off your first 3 months. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Make sure you subscribe. A lot of content coming your way this week. Softball is ramping up. Till next time, Boomer.